Shalom Chaverim, I'm Steve Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. I lost my feed here, and I've been trying my best to get this thing to start right back up. It would not do so, so I guess we're just going to have to start over. I figured it might be best because if I just start back up in the middle of the broadcast there, I'm afraid we're going to lose everything. Let me make sure we still are okay. I don't know what went on here. Was trying my best to get this thing back up and running. We are running on that end, but see, yeah, we are really not doing well on our stream here. I don't know. Maybe I have too many windows open. That's the only thing I can figure is I just have too many windows open at the same time. We're going to try this. We are in the red, and I have a feeling it's because of what we are reporting on. Going back to what we started at the beginning, and you know what? I'll do this because I'm just concerned. I'm going to go ahead and record this as well because I'm too concerned that if we lose this again, I will at least have it to where I can upload this via recording it to the camera itself. All right, so what we're looking at here is we're going to Ukraine, and in this video footage right here, as I reported before, the U.S. And Canadian forces are inside of Ukraine battling with their soldiers. Now, according to this particular report here from Ukraine, they were saying Ukrainian troops retake control over a formerly occupied village in the Donetsk region. But it clearly, as I was looking at the images here, these are not Ukrainian forces. And of course, they have all their faces masked so you don't see who they really are. But, you just begin to realize that this is mercenary forces fighting for Ukraine, paid mercenaries that have come in. And I was able to cross-reference this to prove my point that this is actually the case. They're just too well trained. They know what they're doing as they enter into the particular area they're in. And in a couple of cases where they do turn around and you can see the face for a moment there, it's pretty obvious that it's not Ukrainian forces that are there inside that region. So as I began to do a little bit of digging on this, I discovered as well that, I wasn't the only one thinking about this. We have right here, why did the military from the USA and Canada come to Donbass? Political analyst opinion here says the People's Militia, the DPR, reported the arrival of foreign mercenaries in Donbass, among them high-ranking officials from the United States and Canada. All right, well, don't let them fool you either. Russia has their own mercenaries, the Wagner group inside of eastern Ukraine there to help give them support to keep the Ukrainians from being able to overtake and overrun Donbass, the Luhansk and Donetsk regions there in eastern Ukraine. So this is nothing new, and now the big boys are stepping in to bring their own mercenaries. So once again, like in Syria, you have Russian and U.S. forces face-to-face in combat. I'm sure that little particular area right there was not Russian mercenaries that were being pushed out, but rather some of the Donetsk fighters there near the front lines that got killed and pushed out of that area. They gained 1,200 meters according to reports that I saw on that. And even on this particular page here on VK, which is a Russian site, a photo right here, and this actually is both Polish and U.S. mercenaries staging for their photo op as they've come in to fight for Ukraine. And I got knocked offline 3 times trying to just use a regular Google Translate to be able to share this with you. Got my internet shut down, everything. I wouldn't doubt if that's the same deal we're having here. Yeah, we're in the yellow now trying to put this all up. So as we go on, we move on, we also see that Russia's using some high-tech laser technology and they are causing blindness to some of the Ukrainian soldiers, reportedly using blinding laser weapons against Ukrainian border guards, according to this article right here. So Russia's kind of playing dirty as well in this battle here. And, of course, I've never known any war to be not a dirty battle to start with. Then, of course, I was asked about Venezuela. What's going on in Venezuela? We have Wolf at the door, prospects of U.S. military intervention in Venezuela. According to the international news here, VenezuelaAnalysis.com. And yes, there are reports from the Pentagon. Trump has said it himself that might take a military intervention. And he said at the UN that all options are on the table when it comes to Venezuela. But it's not, the Venezuelan government is not alone. As we can see, Venezuelan Maduro asked Russia, Vatican to help fend off the U.S. military threat. That's kind of something that took me by surprise. I'm sure as it has done you as well. The Vatican, Russia, the Vatican, well, believe it or not, yeah, he's wanting the Vatican too. Well, I know that Putin has met with Pope Francis, and I'm sure that when it comes to the New World Order, yeah, they probably are working together. But it is truly a battle over who gets what in the New World Order. Now, Russia does have a couple of manufacturing outfits in Venezuela for military equipment. Nothing of strategic importance, but it does matter to them. And several other articles also showing the Venezuelan president seeking that outside help. Then we had as well on the CP24.com releasing this footage here. Chinese hospital ship docks in Venezuela amid the crisis. One stop of 11 nations where they would actually be coming in to give a helping hand. This was back, of course, on September 22nd that this actually took place. I brought this up mainly to show that the Chinese also seem to have a vested interest in Venezuela. And then, of course, we had this other very shocking news that just came out, and I have only seen on the SMM Syria report about this. This is our American super duper combat ready vehicle, MRAP, which is can handle mines. Is what it's resistant to, is the mines. A very strong, powerful military SUV. Much better than the Humvee, being able to handle different types of attacks that could come against it. Well, it did not fare so well, and it's being blamed on ISIS militants of actually attacking this. ISIS terrorists have destroyed the MRAP, the Max Pro allegedly belonging to the SDF near Al-Bagaz, Fawakani of Deir ez-Zor province. We can see this thing here burning at the top of the screen. There it is. It's the same location just before it's attacked. And there are reports that even though they say that it is allegedly given to the SDF, the Syrian Defense Forces, that the U.S. is backing, that this could have actually had Americans on board. That's a very serious situation, and we certainly don't want to see that. Being an American myself, I hate to see any Americans die in combat, or any people, period, to die in combat. But then it's going to get stranger here as we get into this broadcast here. Syrian publication accuses U.S. of transporting Daesh terrorists from Deir ez-Zor. It's just, it kind of reminds me, you have to go back and you have to look. The United States has always been known to cause confusion in a battlefield. Like in the case of Iran, years ago, the United States overthrew in a coup, overthrew the Iranian government and installed their own puppet government, but at the same time they turned around and backed the opposition fighters as well to attack the very fighters that they were, pro-government fighters. They were backing pro-government fighters to fight the opposition, and they caused confusion and mayhem in order to get what they really wanted out of this, which is beyond me, but it's what they did. This is what has even been accused by Israeli friends that I have about the USS Liberty. That even though the U.S. was willing to protect the Israeli integrity over the attack on the USS Liberty, at the same time, they said the U.S. was actually arming the Egyptians and giving them intelligence on the 67 war. Bit strange, nonetheless, to say there. Now, anyway, in this particular article right here, it says Syrian publication accuses U.S. of transporting Daesh terrorists from Deir ez-Zor. And at the same time, we see the ISIS militants are attacking the SDF. This gets strange. They also captured a large cache of weapons, which is where we lost our contact with you guys last. Well, you know what? I guess I've even lost the article, unless this is it over here. Nope, that's not it. All right, anyway. I was sharing with you guys the video footage of those weapons. It's American-made weapons. It did appear at one point that we had some Israeli writing on there, but it does not have Israeli writings on those weapons there, although Israel has admitted to the Jerusalem Post of arming the terrorists inside of Syria, the Al-Qaeda al-Nusra militants that are there on the border with Israel. And that one particular video footage, and I knew I had this up here just a moment ago. I wanted to still show this to you because it shows just how much weapons and ammunition is being supplied by Western powers because, as I said, it is English that is actually written on the containers there. And I even had another, I won't even mention the other one there because it bugged me because I know I had it, but I don't know what I did with it. You get so much information, you're going through all this stuff, and then you end up losing it as you go there. That's just really frustrating. But anyway, so we had a couple of different articles that were talking about the ISIS militants being rescued out. U.S. copters evacuate Daesh militants from Syria's Deir ez-Zor region there. And of course, that is October here, 2018, October the 8th. By the way, you know, for all that chirping of crickets there that someone made that comment the other day, I guess they're just not chirping as much as people think. Over in Aleppo, also there was a car bomb that went off, major explosion there. The Syrian forces are still trying to make gains in the southern part of the country there. So there is still fighting in Syria. It is not the calm that we think it should be. Now, when it comes to Idlib, there are many saying it is the calm still before the storm. They're still expected that this is going to turn into a very nasty situation there. Another article here, U.S.-led coalition deploys military reinforcements in Tanakh oil field in Deir ez-Zor. This is coming off of the QasimNews.com. Says U.S.-led coalition deployed on Wednesday new military, let me blow that up, reinforcements to the military base near Tanakh oil field in Deir ez-Zor. Local media sources said that dozens of military vehicles carrying weapons and ammunition headed to the advanced base near Tanakh oil field, in addition to 30 military equipment, armored vehicles, and APCs. According to this here, it goes on to say that the base in Syria is a big problem for Russia and Iran. A photo captured by the satellite was published recently and showed the continuation of producing oil from the second largest oil fields in Syria. Noteworthy that the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF militant groups, have captured Tanakh oil field on November 2017. So that's one reason why the U.S. is holding on to that, because they are pumping that oil and siphoning it off for themselves. Well, you know, Trump did say when you conquer a country, you're supposed to take all those natural resources and not leave it for somebody else to take. Well, they're actually doing it. According to the Russian military sources, the S-300 SAM battalions, which are delivered to Syria's air defense force, are the PM-2 type missiles that are being put in that. They've only got a range of 75 kilometers. They're not getting the V-555R Sarah missiles that have the 150 kilometer distance, although they do have the ability to track planes at 150 kilometer range that Israel may be taking off there, but Russia has impeded their ability to be able to shoot down any plane less than about 50 miles away. So that still gives Israel the advantage over the Syrian government to be able to take out, including the S-300 system, because the F-35 can fire at about 65 miles away and hit its target. And if Syria cannot reach out as far as what Israel can attack, then that missile system is absolutely worthless. You know, there again, that's why I say when it comes to Russia and Israel, they're working together. You know, why would Russia give them, you know, a system that can be taken out and they can't take out their own, what Syria considers to be the enemy? All right, now, that in light of that, let me just show something to you. We have on here, this is from FortRuss.com, opinion Israel is planning to attack Syria and Russia. I mean, is this really for real? I just don't see this being the case. And yet there's all kinds of articles like that. You have this one here as well. This is why the U.S. rivalry with Russia and Syria isn't going away. That's a little different there when it comes to U.S. and Russia. But when it comes to Israel, now think on this one here. Does this one word, actually I forget now. I forgot why I put this one up now. I'll just have to kind of skip over that. But the point is Fort Russ thinks that Israel is getting ready to attack Russia and Syria. I don't believe that's going to be the case because, as I pointed out again, once again, Russia gives the S-300 to Syria to help protect their own planes, but they don't give it the missiles that gives them the capability to defend themselves. It's just a show. Yeah, they could take down some F-16s, but again, they would have to have the S-300 in Damascus, and they would have to be able to hit the planes over Lebanon or something like that. In that case there, yes, maybe they can ward off some of Israel's F-16s, F-15s that could be fighting in the region there. But when it comes to the F-35, Israel never even has to enter into the range of this system. Even if it could detect it, that is, if it can detect it, but even if it could, Israel can stay out 65 miles out, boom, blow the thing right out of the water. You know, when Syria finally is toppled, I wouldn't be a bit surprised that Russia doesn't end up having a hand in it as well. It's all part of the New World Order. We're just given the stage to look at and forget that it's all played out on a stage, but unfortunately at the countless lives of many others. Assad's exhausted army in need of reinforcement as Idlib battle looms. That is still to be believed to be a battle, and now I wanted to share this article here. I've already reported on this already, but The Guardian put this post up here. I spoke about earlier this week where President Assad was giving, he's reaching out to his defectors of the military and not going to charge them with desertion. Trying to open the door for them to come back and be a part of the country. After 7 long years, Bashar al-Assad has almost clinched a victory in Syria. Just one province remains beyond his grasp, but his Russian and Iranian allies step away from the last stage of the war. They leave behind a Syrian army too weak to finish the job on its own. The regime has said ceasefire deal in the last opposition stronghold of Idlib is a temporary measure to avoid civilian deaths. But facing the prospects of a major battle without the help of Russian air power and Iranian-backed ground militias, both appear reluctant to commit to the final battle. The stakes are higher for the Syrian depleted and demoralized army than they have been in years. So therefore, they believe that the Syrian president has totally given amnesty towards its former fighters that have deserted the forces there, that they would come back to help win the country here at the last bit. I don't see it happening myself, and it's interesting as they say that this, the country has been recaptured, but yet when it comes to everything on the east of the Euphrates, the Americans are well bedded in over there. You don't see a single word about recapturing the eastern side of Syria, nor the northern sections where Turkey has already invaded and taken over the country. Assad is basically just left with a little small piece of the pie, and how long will that last before the attack comes against him? The Iranians also are backing out, mainly because they're getting tired of being attacked and being killed inside of there by Israeli forces. So it just doesn't look well, and I don't think it's going to end well either. At any rate, I'm Stephen Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. I apologize for losing the feed. It's rough on me as well because I end up talking a whole lot more than what I really need to. So anyway, God bless you. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to support the broadcast. Your help in this broadcast, keeping this on air, is very much needed. You can visit our website, IsraeliNewsLive.org. And also, again, don't forget the beginning of the broadcast here as we shared with you. Oh, wow, I actually lost another page. This is nuts, guys. The very video I showed you is no longer there. The video of U.S. forces there being inside of... Unless maybe I was some idiot and... No, I couldn't have. Okay, this is nuts. All right, there's the picture of it there because I actually took a picture from the video itself to show you this. And by the way, just so you can see this, so you know, these are the Velcro places where they can add their patches and stuff. I believe that's what that is on there. But, you know, there is no markings whatsoever. That does not identify these soldiers. These soldiers are not identified as Ukrainian soldiers at all. If they were Ukrainians, they'd have markings on their shoulders that they're Ukrainian fighters. These are special forces, mercenaries that are in there fighting. And of course, they are very much dressed to that of U.S. Special Forces to begin with. Other than the weapons they're using, they are using Soviet-made, Russian-made type of weapons in their battles there. Anyway, I'm Steve Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Interesting how things keep disappearing on this broadcast. Erev Tov.